Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J Cast. I'm John, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday 14th of February 2024. This is episode 297. Happy Valentine's Day, Damon. I'll give you a big kiss.
Oh. I hear somebody in the background. Well, happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. If you partake, and if you don't, it's just another day, right? That's all it is. But yes, it is the Valentine's Day. Now, do you, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, you do a little celebrating, right? You do a little dinner, or you take the kids out and you get everybody involved, correct?
Yeah, we didn't do anything this year. We're not really huge Valentine's Day people. We've got my parents over at the moment, so we had a Chinese hot pot at home. Because we got one of these little sort of plug-in hot pot things where it's like split in half, so you can have two different kinds of broth. So we had one half of it with a sort of spicy, numbing Sichuan broth, and another half with a tomato broth. With it's like these packaged ones from a chain restaurant called Haidi Lao. It's very popular in China. They've got a few of them internationally as well.
Nice. Oh, that sounds perfect. I'm doing this. I'm doing this, and then staring at a wall, and then eating something, and then hopefully falling asleep. that's we've never done it. We've never done anything on Valentine's Day. Like, I think Cheryl actively hates the day and the idea of it. And she's just like, well, just fucking hate it. I'm like, and every year I'm like,
commercial con, isn't it?
What's that?
It's a big commercial con.
Yeah, it really is. And like, I appreciate the fact that she doesn't care for it, but every year I'm like, are you sure? We can do something. She's like, we're not spending any money on that. And honestly, we're not spending any money on anything right now, but she's never was a thing for her. So, here's the thing. I wouldn't mind it. Like, I really wouldn't mind it. It doesn't matter to me either way. But the fact that, like, it's just taking off the plate, the headache and the making the reservations, and you know what I mean, and all that.
That's it. Like, all the restaurants are booked up.
Right.
They're all overpriced, and it's just very stressful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really is. It is a day, and it never is like, it never lives up to the billing. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to go home and then fucking, have weird sex. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just never really a thing. But that's fine. No big deal. I listened to the show last week. Great job by you and John, right? Carrying, I appreciate that. We had a conversation. It was my birthday. And it was very good. You did very well, as always, steering the ship. And John is always there to help carry the load, if you will. So definitely appreciate that. It was kind of funny listening to the sports talk in the beginning. I was like, oh, look at that. Look at these guys go. Very good. Very good. Very good stuff.
Have you figured out what exactly you're supposed to do when people sing happy birthday to you?
No. As long as I've been here on Earth, it has always been a very awkward thing, right? And it's always awkward when you have to sing it, in the sense of that first person to kind of start it off, and then everybody kind of follows suit. I just stare at the cake. I just stare at the cake because it's embarrassing. I don't like people
singing. Stare at the people who are singing it.
No.
Just like make unblinking eye contact. Just stare them right down. Just not smiling. Just straight into boring into their soul.
I'm the other way. I don't get embarrassed by much, but that does. That's kind of like, it's. I don't think, and here's the thing too. I don't think I had a happy birthday sung to me this year. I did not have a happy birthday. Matter of fact, now that I think of it, I didn't blow out any candles. I didn't do nothing. I went out to, where did I go? I went out to like a dinner with friends. That was it. And obviously Cheryl there. That was it. It was really low key. It's really a weird time going on in the life of Damon McD. It's weird, to say the least. Speaking of weird, I don't know if you know this, but WrestleMania, the granddaddy of them all, is in Philadelphia, which is obviously very close to me. I could make 2 lefts and be at the stadium, right? It's my running joke. I took a look because I was like,
tempted?
Okay, what's it?
Are you tempted?
No, not to go to the show. I mean, unless somebody says I have an extra ticket, you don't have to pay. Then I'd be like, all right, maybe I'd go. Depending upon the weather, too. Quite honestly, because you're outside. It's the other stuff that's traditionally you would have. Your WrestleCons and every fucking promotion under their suns running shows, and a lot of times they're pretty good. Oh boy, hey, nothing but dog shit around here. I'm like, what the there's nothing, Joel. There is, I swear to you, there are lots of shows. There's nothing I'm interested in. Zilch show. There's nobody I'm interested in going to like WrestleCon for. Like, it's the same people that they just keep recycling over and over again. It's like there's nobody there's just
US Indies are dead now, aren't they?
They sure are. It feels like it.
Move it up.
Yeah, there was really nothing there. I could not get excited for anything. So I could walk to some of these shows. There is a show. It's like a MMA show that's in a town called Gloucester City, New Jersey. And that is where I was born and raised. And, white trash town. But there's a show. And I'm like, I could walk to the show, but I'm not going to go to the fucking show. You know what I mean? Everything's so close to me, but I have interest in none of it. And that's kind of sad, I think. I was like, it's not every day that WrestleMania is in your fucking backyard. There's nothing that interests me.
It's a shame that there's no New Japan offering this year.
I was shocked, actually. I was kind of surprised. I mean, they're in the middle of Fantastica Mania now, and by the time Mania rolls around in April, I don't know. I don't know what kind of schedule that we would be close to on that, but I don't know. It's just there was, I don't know. You would think some representation, or at least strong, guys that they don't use and fly over to Japan. Your Tom Lawlers and your old school strong guys you think would have a presence, but it's there's nobody around. I mean, listen, they have a couple weeks to go. And a lot of these shows don't even have shows announced at this point. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. Stardom's running a show, but I got to really be in the mood to go see fucking Stardom. Now,
surprised Bushiroad can afford to put on a Stardom show at this rate. If their financial reports anything to go by.
Yeah, they're walking now. They have to walk across the Pacific. They can't fly. They're swimming right now. Yeah. Did you? I mean, you obviously saw. We saw what I saw. You saw. We all saw the same. Saw in the same chat that we were in. Boy, I've never seen the value of a company drop like that so rapidly. It was like take the heaviest thing you own in your home and drop it from the highest point in your house. That's exactly what it was. Straight down.
Projections for the future, if it continues like this in 12 months' time, Bushiroad stock, and there was the graph was broken because the line had gone so far down south.
Yeah, It's amazing. I was like, whoa, that's a problem. That's a problem.
They're going to be, if the podcast is still going, I think Kidani's going to be asking us for money. We're going to have to transfer some of the Red Circle funds to keep New Japan afloat, I think.
Yeah, I think if we both came up with $20 collectively, we could take our Red Circle money and that $20 and buy New Japan at this point. It's a shame. It's crazy. But
wrestlers will all be gone. We'll just be, they'll be asking us to book shows using some of the wacky characters from our Discords. It's going to be a strange time.
Yeah. Violent skipping in a cage match against. Oh boy! I tell you, weird times. And did you see how they weren't very complimentary of Stardom in that report? If I'm not mistaken, they kind of threw them right under the fucking bus, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they acknowledged the mismanagement. I mean, I suppose the biggest takeaway there is that everything's going down the toilet, apart from New Japan. New Japan's doing okay. But again, I do have concerns about the long-term viability of this Bushiroad thing. And I know Kidani's a fan, and I don't think he's likely to sell because he does take an active interest in New Japan. But, I just can't help just wondering, and I don't know what the answer is, but if New Japan would be better off just being bought by Tony Khan.
Oh, my. Imagine that. Oh, I think that's it, right. Well, I don't know. Maybe if we can get jobs, we'd be interested. But I don't know. Yeah, that would be weird.
Go back and listen to anything we've said or tweeted about him.
Oh my god, just firing off to it. Like, it would just be. Truth be told, it would be very depressing. It really would stick a knife in my interest in the product. Like, that would be the final nail in the coffin, I think. The problem is that if you look at it from a distance, you are shaking your head and thinking somebody's going to buy this. Like, somebody's going to. Like, Bushiroad right now has to be thinking, okay, what valuable assets do we have that we can sell now before it cools off? And New Japan is it. And Tony would do anything. He would do just about anything to say that he bought New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? That it would be the equivalent of us. You know what I mean? If we had the money, we would be like, "Oh, sign me up. Let's go. Where do I sign? Blank check." And you have to figure, if you're buying that company, you're eyeing obviously the Japanese market, and that's now your thing, and what blends in and what stays separate and all of that. It's an interesting thought. I'm not going to lie, Joel. It's an interesting thought. I don't think it's the best thing on the surface, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think there's a better than. I don't know. Would you go 50-50? Would you go that high?
Yeah. I mean, we've got a track record in this podcast of throwing crazy ideas out there.
And it's sticking.
And and they're happening. Like, remember when you threw out that thing about Okada leaving?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's and look where we are.
And look at where we are.
Wouldn't rule anything out.
No, that's the one thing I will not do. Like, for every, that's fucking preposterous, man. What these fucking idiots. For every one of those dopes, guess what? Stranger things have happened in the past 5 years. I would not be surprised. Okay, so let me ask you this. Tony Khan obviously would be the front runner, right? If we're talking about a person that's in pro wrestling. And I guess what I'm saying is, do you think WWE would have any interest?
Yeah, I mean, if they can use that as a conduit to get into the Japanese market, which if rumours are to be believed they wanted to do for a while. The thing is, doing business in Japan it's kind of like impermeable, isn't it? It's very difficult to make inroads there unless you have Japanese people who understand the scene, right, running the business for you. And we know Tony Khan is not going to fly over to Japan, so he would have to be delegating that responsibility to other people that he trusts. So, I mean, it could just be a case of, okay, I bought New Japan, it's mine now, and handing the reins to Gedo or
Rocky Romero.
Yeah. Who, with a bit of Rocky news coming up later. But I think the smart thing to do would be to not try to overhaul everything, because if you just go in there all guns blazing and be like, right, we're going to do this and change this and change this and change this and change this, then I think they would come unstuck. But yeah, there is always that looming threat of NXT Japan in the background.
I think it's like we obviously didn't have the access to information that we did when, it was Inoki's son running the thing and outside investors and all of that. But we do now. And I'm not sitting here shaking in my boots, but I think it's a legitimate concern to have if you are a fan of this product. I think it's something that it should be, again, not occupying too much space, but I think that it's it should be in the back of your mind, because at the end of the day, people are looking at profit and losses. And if the math doesn't add, then that they're going to be shopping. And the thing that is the most valuable thing right now, if you're just looking at that P&L, is probably New Japan, right? It's certainly not that mobile game division that they're trying to revamp and all of that. It wouldn't shock me at this point. Let me just say that. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say I have insider information that they're selling. I'm not. I'm just saying that, boy, once again, where there is smoke, where there is smoke, fire certainly follows unless it is quickly extinguished. So I'll just float that out there.
Pivoting on to the Rocky thing, Daryl says, what do we think of the Rocky announcement? So this was announced that he is officially employed by All Elite Wrestling as part of the front office. So Daryl says, do we know if he's completely ditching us? I don't blame anyone for taking the bag from Tony, but it just seems like poaching for the sake of poaching at this point. They can't even use everyone they have on their roster now. No, he's not left New Japan. I think this is just making official a role that he's been performing for
quite some time,
about 6 months now. Yeah, so he's the Forbidden Door guy, and he will continue to be the Forbidden Door guy, but now he's getting a check from both companies. So no, he's not going to be ditching New Japan. I still think he is playing an important liaison role between those two companies. So that's, whilst I would love to any excuse to sort of put the boot into AEW and Tony Khan, this is not one of them for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of the partnership, and if you're a fan of the idea of somewhat shared talent, and we will see, I'm not going to say a lot more, but there are people that I don't know if we're ready to disclose, but I think it's a safe statement. What do you think? A safe statement to say, Joe, that there will be AEW participants in New Japan Cup? I think that's a safe thing. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that, right?
Well, I suppose it depends how much you read into contract durability clauses. Whether if you were to get a contract and, I don't know, hypothetically rip it into pieces, is that legally binding? Does that mean you're no longer employed by that company, or that's
well, you could
maybe
be
any lawyers. You could get in touch with us.
You could be in the weeds, Joel. You could be in the jungle. You could be, any of those two places in this situation, right? So, if you're ripping up contracts, I would think that would void stuff. But look, we all know it's a jungle out there. We all know it.
And look, if you're not happy, don't make me the scapegoat. I'm just the messenger.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I mean that the Rocky news is again, if you are into the partnership and you are into the idea of people and the synergy between the two companies, then yeah, I'll tell you what, good on Rocky in the sense that the man knows how to fucking. His phone must have been blowing up, right? and not that it probably doesn't already, but his phone probably was blowing up. There's not a more powerful guy in U.S. pro wrestling at this point, aside from your usual suspects. Obviously the your Pauls and your Tonys and all them. But yeah, it's he's in a real valuable spot. If he's cashing a check from both places, it's pretty good spot to be in.
We also have news about Resurgence
Ooh.
show being announced with a rather ambitious arena here. So that will be the Toyota Arena on May the 11th. So following out from the sellout at Battle in the Valley in the San Jose Civic, the incredible demand for Windy City Riot in Chicago, April 12th. They are moving to the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. Mm-hmm. So another very ambitious venue there. So the question comes from William, who says, does the current structure of New Japan Strong shows in the States also affect the viability of Forbidden Door? They seem to be, actually, this is not related to Resurgence at all. So let me ask this one first, and we'll use that to pivot onto Resurgence. So does the current structure of New Japan Strong shows in the States also affect the viability of Forbidden Door? They seem to be doing bigger matches in bigger arenas than previously, using a few big AEW stars. So I think, I think they will have to be leaning on that relationship if they want to do a number similar to the one that they are approaching for Windy City Riot. I'll be very surprised if this Resurgence show is purely New Japan contracted talent. So I'd expect to see plenty of AEW involvement. And I did sort of bring up a question on Twitter a few days ago that now that Tony Khan has signed so many people, you Jay Whites, Ospreys, Okada, Juice Robinson, let's throw him in there for good measure. Is that sort of compromising the draw of Forbidden Door?
Oh God, yeah.
Now that they've signed like all the best guys to have those crossover matches, like are there any sort of financially viable crossover matches left? Like, I ask the AEW fans, are there any New Japan and AEW matchups that they still think can draw a worthwhile pay-per-view number, a worthwhile gate? And yeah, they did come up. Some of the people who replied came up with some good stuff. So, and again, I don't know how likely or realistic these matches are because there's always the politics involved. But here's one from Nick Hoover who said Hiromu Darby, Naito Rush, Shota Mox, Finley Jay White, Zack versus Danielson 3, Shingo Kenny. So all those I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? I'm into those. Yeah. I put down money to watch those. So whilst we... the Doommongers might be saying, Forbidden Door's dead. They've signed all the best wrestlers. What's the point anymore? I still think with a bit of smart matchmaking, there is a lot of good money to be made by New Japan. And you just look at what they're doing for Windy City Riot with a few carefully and timely match announcements like Hiromu versus Mustafa Ali. I know he's not an AEW guy, but Naito versus Mox. I'm sure that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of that gate. I like what New Japan have done so far with their US shows this year and just having these sort of little self-contained narrative arcs where you don't have to be watching every single show that's happening in Japan. And they're using each show to set up the next show and they're putting it well in advance so you're going to get tasty matches. So I would imagine that for this Resurgence show, if they're running a venue like Toyota Arena, that they've got plenty of stuff up their sleeve. And it seems like the movement of talent between the two companies is more fluid than it was before. We're seeing big name AEW guys taking defeats to New Japan guys. So I think there's sort of fertile ground there to do some interesting stuff for this Resurgence show. So I'm actually, in spite of the Ospreay and Okada signings, a bit more optimistic on the Forbidden Doors, probably more so than I've ever been, which is weird.
Yeah. It is a weird time. And, I have to tip my cap to them in the sense that, for years it's felt like the value of these shows have dwindled drastically. We've gone from Madison Square Garden to, in the middle of what it was, Garland, Texas, where they barely drew 1,000 people, it felt like. So yeah, this year at least has started out, the tail end of last year and this year has started out pretty strong, I think. Pardon the pun. And I think that there feels, at least on the surface, it feels like it's a focus and a conscious effort to have that synergy. I think they don't necessarily need to run Philadelphia again, unless, look, run 4 times a year here, right? But make it valuable. And you could see Chicago is a great pro wrestling town. End stop. We could end it right there. But what they did there was very smart in the sense that, they opened up the amount of seats that they thought would be reasonable, and there was demand. Why? Because they announced a card and a show and a card that was sexy enough, with big names being brought in, which again certainly helps the gate. And then well, listen, I said it last week, or not last week, but the week before. I'll take the big fat L. I'll take the loss, because I sat here and was like, how in the fuck are they going to do this? I think they were being a little ambitious. Hey, guess what? They did it. And there are people flying in for this show. There are people traveling. And again, I think the big factor is, yes, AEW guys, no doubt. But also the fact that having at least something that people can sink their teeth into and say, okay, I'm buying a ticket for that. As opposed to, here's the brand coming in. I don't know what's going to happen when I show up, but okay, here I'm going to trust them. They did the right thing, and they have been doing the right thing. Look, last U.S. show headlined by Okada Ospreay. All right, that's you don't get much sexier than that. This one, Mox and Naito and the matches look good. And the matches that they that was suggested by, I forget who you mentioned, but yeah, those are all sexy matchups. I would absolutely love to see them. But again, it after you get to that certain point, okay, what's next? But I don't think anybody would bitch and moan seeing Bryan Danielson and Zack again, right? No one would, and no one would sneeze at the idea of having a Mox Shota match. I mean, come on. Why? I mean, we're waiting for it. We're dying for it. We'd love to see it. And if eventually it comes to pass, that'd be awesome.
A few interesting Okada matches I could book with guys he's not really worked with in the company up to this point.
Yeah. It's, look, you would think that the idea of a forbidden door would be somewhat lessened by the fact that he's scooping up all this talent, but quite honestly, we got opportunities to have some pretty nice cards. Not gonna lie.
If both companies are doing their job properly in terms of making new stars and elevating new talent, then it shouldn't be something that has a limited shelf life.
Right.
Now, there were all concerns that perhaps Tony Khan was more interested in prominently booking the guys who were on top in the sort of 2017 to 2020 period. But from what I hear from him, he's taken an interest in the newer generation, guys like Shota and Tsuji. This is not me saying, he's going to sign them, guys, panic. But, this could also be a good vehicle to get those guys established more amongst the Western fan base. So, a bit of clever matchmaking on their part. I think the Forbidden Door thing is not something I'm panicking about personally.
No. And here's the thing too, though. Like, I know that we sit here a lot and we're not the biggest fans of the partnership and the relationship that has been in place. And I don't think anyone is shocked by me saying that. But keep in mind, and I'm speaking for me and Joel, if you the idea of a partnership is I don't hate. I don't mind. I think the possibilities can be positive. And if you're a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, it can benefit both parties. So like I personally am not down on having that partnership. I would just like to see the partnership reworked. Now, that being said, there has been good stuff. It looks like there's more good stuff to be had. But I think it's something that needs to be nurtured and it needs to develop. And if what we're saying does come to pass, and Tony does have use his vehicle to help promote our young stars, and at the same time, still scratch the itch of the people who loved New Japan but may have fallen by the wayside from the product and are following another product, but they're familiar with Hiroshi Tanahashi. They're familiar with Yuji Nagata. They're familiar with, whomever. Pick a name. So Minoru Suzuki, we'll just say. Those older school guys, they just still play a huge part in a lot of their fan base's positive look of New Japan. Now, again, from a New Japan fan perspective, yes, I want to see, by all means, you can use those guys, but also, again, the bigger goal here is to create those new stars. And if we can get them in front of the people to build that, I have no problem using them as a platform, right? None. So, look, I'm more optimistic about it than I have been. And I'm saying that with full knowledge and awareness that our biggest star has signed full time there, and the best wrestler on planet Earth for the past 2 years is there as well. So, but I think that there is hope for that relationship, and it looks like it's trending that way to me.
Antonio asked us a question. He says, in a nutshell, should New Japan end its partnership with AEW since it isn't 100% benefiting from it? I just think, what's the alternative? Let's say New Japan says, right, that's it, we're putting the plug, no more relationship. Does that mean that New Japan's top talent are not going to get poached by either AEW or WWE? No, it doesn't. No. That doesn't stop that from happening. Is it going to piss off a lot of the New Japan regulars who enjoy having that Forbidden Door payday? Yes, it would. And having Dynamite paydays and the ability to go and work AEW shows, that would upset a lot of the New Japan regulars, because given the way that, as we know, Bushiroad is in the shitter financially and the problems that the yen's having, that is a nice little earner for the New Japan guys to be able to work the odd AEW show. So I just think at this point, whilst I completely understand why a lot of the New Japan hardcores, myself included, can find the partnership frustrating, I just think, what's the alternative? Because I think a world where New Japan doesn't have that relationship with AEW is arguably worse than the situation where it does have the relationship.
Right. And you do, again, you hold out hope that, things change and we're getting closer to a 50-50 partnership as opposed to, what feels like we're taking it in the butt, every fucking month.
We're about to talk about one of the top matches from New Beginning on Osaka, where we've got one of the, I would say, the top guys in AEW eating a pin to one of the New Japan guys. So yep. I'd say it's looking a bit healthier these days.
I agree. Whereas before I was, just closing my eyes and biting my lower lip and just hoping for the best, I'm a lot more positive feeling in recent weeks. Let's put it that way.
Right, well, we've actually very deftly managed to tie together all the bits of the news that I wanted to talk about here, so we can get straight into New Beginning in Osaka. Unless you want to talk about neckties, Dr. Garrett says, have you seen the latest fashion offering on Tokon Shop? A range of dashingly handsome neckties, including an LIJ offering. Joel, it's been a few decades since my primary school days, but if teachers still wear ties, will you be getting one? Look, they're lucky if I put on a shirt when I go to work. A tie, that's just asking a bit too much. So no, I'm not going to be wearing any ties to work, but they are quite smart ties.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them, Damon, but I'm tempted, I cannot remember the last time I wore a tie.
Me too. I was really trying to think. I hate to say it. I think it was at a funeral. That was the last time I wore it. So
would it be appropriate for me to bust out an LIJ tie to go to someone's funeral?
I gotta see it.
Approach the grieving widow and just be like, tranquilo.
Yeah. Give a little chest pump to the sky. Yeah. Look, I like my ties a little simple. I'm not a big fan of the like goofy ties. Like I've never been a big fan of that. So it would have to be very discreet. Any type of logo like that. So, but yeah, listen, they feel like they're trying to corner the Japanese salaryman market, maybe. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the tie, to be quite honest with you. I can't remember the last time I wore it, and I guess, like I said, I think the last time was probably a funeral. But yeah, I don't know what I don't know if you've noticed this trend. When did this happen? Help me out here. You're closer to the youth. When did wearing sneakers and a suit become a thing?
Well, you'll know that I did this by accident a few years ago when I went to a wedding. I sent you and Dan the pictures, and you were like, "Joel, what the fuck are you wearing?" And I said that was an accident because I left my shoes at home. So I had to wear trainers to this wedding with my nice suit. But weirdly, that's come around and that's actually fashionable and something that people do intentionally these days.
I know. I don't understand that. Like, you just look so unfinished. Like, you're wearing a suit. Like, I guess comfort. But look, I'm going to say this. I think we live in a world where we're too comfortable. I really do. I mean, people walking around in their fucking pajamas. Like, come on, what are we doing? The fuck? Yeah.
I've sent you a picture of those neckties. Do you think any of those are appropriate to wear at a funeral?
At a funeral, right, let's say. You know what? They're not that bad. You know what? They're better than I thought. I think the blue one, and the kind of like maroony striped one is not bad. The pure black
one. The LIJ one. So the LIJ one is pure black with the LIJ logo sort of near the top. So you could probably get away with wearing that, but you'd have to have your hands covering the LIJ logo for the entire funeral ceremony. And then people will be coming up to you and shaking your hand, and eventually they'd ask you, like, why have you got your left hand hovering over the top of your tie? What is going on here? Move your hands. I'd rather not. They're like, no, you're hiding something. What is it? Move your hand. And then they see that little Los Ingobernables logo, and then you'd have to leave, and things would get awkward.
It really would. What do you think? What do you think about the? I don't think the lion mark ones are awful.
No, they sort of remind me of like school prefect ties. I had to wear a tie when I was in secondary school and sixth form college. Those are the sort of things that we'd be wearing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was expecting something much worse. Could you wear that at a funeral? Maybe. I'll give you a solid maybe. How about that? But yeah, it's better than I thought. That's for sure. I thought you were going to have like a tie with like Hiromu's goofy face with his tongue hanging. You know what I
mean? that little illustration he did with his little cock and balls hanging out.
Right. Something like that. That would be highly, or like a fucking Bullet Club tie or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
That's terrible. Of a mass shooting where you got the Bullet Club tie.
Right. I'm actually. It's funny that you say that. Well, it's not funny, but watching. I have my browser up, and I had CNN on, and it was the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, Joel. I don't know if you were aware of that one. They had their parade today. 10 people shot. There was a big shooting.
Oh, Christ.
Unbelievable. I was just like, you know what? That's one of my biggest fears, and I don't think many people can relate to that. Like, big event shootings is something that I am always like, I don't like going to big events like that. Like big fucking outdoor things like that bother me, because just for that reason alone, it's fucking weird. I hate people so much.
I hear you. I hate people as well. Now, there were 5,327 people in attendance for the new beginning in Osaka in the Edion Arena. So, good show, very good number, very healthy number. However, there is an elephant in the room that we need to discuss. Louis says, how many strong zeros did that one loud, distracting guy have in the audience? His chance took away from certain matches. Have either of you had a live wrestling show experience dealing with some arsehole ruining the show by being too distracting? Well, there was that guy who was sitting close to us at NXT TakeOver. But we enjoyed 2019. But that actually made it much, much better.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember some of the funny things he said, but that was absolutely fantastic. But to answer your question, Louis, the answer is 0. He had 0 strong zeros because I'm not going to name this person, but this is I think a well-meaning 16-year-old kid who huge fan of the product. So it's quite a sensitive one to deal with because we were all idiots when we were 16 years old, and this guy is extremely, I don't know what we call it, Brit-Rest pilled, Amores pilled. And liked starting these chants, and it was just one voice. It's not, to my ear, it didn't sound like anyone was joining in. And I have had people who attend the shows and wrestlers saying that they hate this guy and they hate the chants, and it's ruining the experience for them, and they really want them to stop. And that I would be doing a great public service to the community if I somehow got them to stop doing these chants. However, I don't know. I was discussing this with our good friend of the show, Kieran of WrestleIn, and he raised the point that maybe it's not our place to police how other people express their fandom, but however, if it's starting to impinge upon the enjoyment of other people and distracting the wrestlers, then maybe it is time to have that conversation. So, what should we do about this young man who loves the product but is kind of ruining it for everyone?
Right. I am in full agreement. I want you to enjoy the product, but also have the ability to read a room, right? It's as a 16-year-old, truth be told, would I have that ability? No, I barely have it as a fucking 50-year-old. That being said, look, I'm not going to tell people what to do, but it is a completely different societal, is that the word I'm looking for, element here, in the sense of, one, you wouldn't expect that type of behavior, at least in my experience going to shows in Japan. Like, that was never an issue. In fact, every time that I have gone, I have been diligent to make sure I am not the fucking ugly American, right? Somebody can have a talk with them. Somebody can kind of, just, again, maybe just...
Should it be me? Should it be me that has the talk?
No.
Should I shoot this guy a DM? No?
No. That shouldn't be your responsibility. That should be the responsibility of the people there, right? And that's a tough thing because they're not going to come up to the guy. They're just going to stare straight ahead and pretend he doesn't exist, even though he's annoying everyone in the fucking building, right? We know that's what's going to happen. I don't know.
As our mutual friend throughout this really nice Japanese idiom, all nails must be hammered down.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is what's required here.
Well, again, it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be... with ill intent. But again, sometimes a 16-year-old kid might need a little guidance on how to conduct himself at a pro wrestling show, period, right? Now, again, if the 16-year-old gets on a flight, flies over to the 2300 arena, that is more than perfectly acceptable, right? Look, here's a perfect example. I go to Japan, I'm not saying a word on the fucking subway or the train. I don't say a fucking peep. In fact, I never sit down. Never sit down. Because to me, I'm a guest and these people have worked or they need to go somewhere and I'm just here for fucking shits and giggles. So I try to do that. But that's commonplace in that country. I don't jab my chopsticks in the rice. You know what I mean? There's just little things. And I don't know.
Yeah, we've all watched that Chris Broad video, things not to do when you're in Japan.
Right. It's a perfect example. The information is there. It's not like it's 1990 and I don't know how to react. Again, it's just about being aware of the room.
You know what we need? We need another Cop Liger video at the start of the show saying, do not do all of these things, and just list all the things that this kid does. It reminds me, actually, when I was going to a lot of Arsenal games, this was been around 2006, 2007, and how old would I have been then? Maybe about 19 years old. And I'd sit with my friend Jack, and we would just be just horrendous, just shrieking, laughing, making stupid, inappropriate jokes, singing stupid songs. And at one point, an older guy just turned around to us and said, "You're a pair of prats." And we got very defensive. We were like, "Oh, we've been going to games for years, season tickets, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Well, that might all be true, but you're still behaving like prats." And then we just kind of stared at each other and we're like, you know what? He's right. And after that day, we toned it down a few notches. So maybe this is what
16 years old. Man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, 16 years old. You gotta. But now, but here's the thing: if there's somebody that knows this guy, and I know that there is one particular person that knows who this person is, that has a presence on our Discord.
They refuse to do it. They refuse to do it.
Really? Well,
yeah.
Not for nothing. Then don't hand out the stickers at the shows. How about that? Keep the stickers in your pocket then. Because if you're not going to take care of the bad, you don't get to reap the benefits of the good. Okay? I'll just throw out that vague fucking reference right now. Keep your fucking stickers in your pocket then. How about that? Okay? If you can't behave at a show, you're not gonna fucking reap the benefits. You owe it to have a word. You do. And I don't care how awkward it might be for you. If what I hear is true, you have an obligation and you need to step up. Let me tell you something. If somebody went to a show and represented our show and acted like that, you're damn fucking straight. I'm getting on the horn and I'm going to have a word. I'm going to say something.
I was going to say it would be extremely on brand to be an absolute nuisance and irritate everyone.
True. But that's no. I mean, again, now we're talking about a big difference. Does Joel have that responsibility? No, he doesn't. Doesn't have that responsibility. But again, if the shoe's on the other foot and it's the scenario that I just described where there is a connection, come on. Step up. Step up. Have a hamburger and step up.
All right. Let's get into the show then. So first match, we had Yo and Toriano defeating Oleg Boltin and Ryusuke Taguchi, 3 minutes.
Wait, can I say something? One more thing? I'm sorry. Why is it always an issue with that one person? Like every time we turn around, I'm like, there's always like something there. Always a little something. All right, I got my eye on you.
It's a troublemaker.
No, I got my
eye.
I got my eye on this.
We know. Yeah. We know what's up.
All right, I got my eye on this. Now I'm involved. Now I'm involved with this, and I got no patience for it. Tell you. All right, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yo and Yano defeating Oleg Boltin and Ryusuke Taguchi. Finish was quite funny, where they were doing a dueling. I can't remember what they did. It was like Boltin had Yano in some sort of gut wrench suplex thing, was throwing him about, and then Taguchi tried to do it with Yo, but then got tired, and then Yo ended up stealing the pinfall. So that was quite funny. That's all I've got on that match.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a creative spot, showing off his strength, and then Taguchi fucks up, breaks his back, and a little 1, 2, 3. I thought it was, look, for a comedy finish, I thought that, somewhat creative. I liked it.
Good that Oleg Boltin's not taking the pinfall there, because you might look at that and think, well, there's one young lion in this match, so they must be taking the pin, but not the case here. So we're all just sort of sitting around waiting for them to pull the trigger on Oleg Boltin. Does he really need to go on an excursion? I would say not. I would hope they accelerate things a bit here, but we're just waiting on him because I like him a lot. He's good and cool. Don't send him on an excursion. Just make a vignette of him, I don't know, wrestling a bear in Siberia, and then re-debut him cosplaying Zangief from Street Fighter 2, and we're off to the races. So those are my thoughts on that match. Second match, we had Bishamon and Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto defeating Callum Newman and Great Khan, 7 minutes, 37 seconds via Shoto. And there was a really interesting backstage monologue from Great-O-Khan talking about Ospreay and his sort of conflicting thoughts on him, and sharing some memories and sort of discussions they had together and the sort of creative input for United Empire. So if you've not seen that, that's really worth checking out, because it was very, very thoughtful. And yeah, I mean, Great-O-Khan, despite being KOPW champion, is in a bit of a weird spot because he's sort of fell through the cracks really when it came to this big feud that they've had with Bullet Club. He's been on the periphery of it, and I'm not sure why. And it's become a meme on our Discord of Great-O-Khan is going on a run. But he's someone who I find interesting to observe, even if I've kind of given up hope of him getting the big push that we maybe thought was inevitable a few years ago. After he had that big match with Naito, knocked him out the New Japan Cup, and we were singing his praises, and that's all sort of petered out a bit. So it's a strange time for Great-O-Khan. Also found out that Hiroki Goto lost his father recently, so he's been in dealing with that. So wishing him all the best. And another good show from Callum Newman, who we'll touch on later. But I think the sentiment in the company is that he is a long-term blue chip prospect. He is being groomed for that United Empire leadership in the long term. So, I've spoken about keeping these guys at arm's length, because it's inevitable that if a guy catches fire and ends up becoming a big star, that they will get signed by one of the big American companies. But does that mean you shouldn't enjoy them while they're in New Japan? I don't know. I mean, I have said that before, but I'm flip-flopping, because at the end of the day, we want to enjoy this product that we're watching. Otherwise, what's the point? So, maybe, I don't know. Like, if we're expecting him to have a similar run that Ospreay did, then just enjoy him while he's around.
You have to. I mean, that's the attitude you have to have at this point, right? You can't dread 5 years from now, when the checkbooks come out. You just can't. You have to watch the kid develop and watch the kid grow and enjoy the ride and what he gives. Here's the good part. You're getting undamaged goods at that point, right? You are watching a youngster who doesn't necessarily have all the injuries that come along with wrestling in the business for 15 years or what have you. So again, you get freshness, you get innovation, you get talent, and you watch them grow and become stars. And then you cross your fingers and you hope you're in a good spot to say, okay, let's extend this. Let's keep you around. Now, every indication that I have gotten from others has been that this is his dream. Like this is what he wants. We've heard that song and dance before. And I'm not saying that as he wakes up in his bed, that his heart is not pure with those thoughts. I'm just saying, when the time comes and the money truck backs up in his backyard, okay, that's that's really when it matters. I think another thing that was really telling was, again, obviously we're going to get there, but the post-match interview with United Kingdom and Ospreay, and him kind of talking about the relationship that he has and how he wants Japan to kind of treat him like, treat Callum like he was treated.
Nice that, isn't it? Using your last part of your last big promo after your last big match in the company to put over one of the young guys. A novel concept. People keep telling me that no one ever does that in New Japan, but
well, here we go.
There we go.
I mean, look, I'm going to say it out loud. I talk about doing the right thing in every aspect of what can I do to leave this place better than when I got here.
We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that. I don't want to blow our load on that. But Callum Newman, he's around for the long time. All right. Third match then we had the House of Torture team, Yujiro, Ren Narita, Sho, and Evil defeating Tiger Mask, Honma, Desperado, and Shota Umino. So Sho pinned Tiger Mask after 8 minutes 43 seconds following the shock arrow. So few developments here. So Despy has said that he will put his junior title on the line against Sho in Sapporo. But if Sho loses, he will have to join Strong Style, which at the moment I think is just him. It's a one-man faction at this point. Red Bear Hugh says, if Despy beat Show, do you think they commit to the faction change, or does Show just say fuck it and stick with the house? I've been burnt on these stipulations because I remember in another Great Okan one when he wrestled Tenzan for the rights to use the Mongolian drop, and then Tenzan just kept doing it anyway. And after that point, I was genuinely upset by that. I was like, what the hell? I mean, that was such a small thing to have a cool thing, I think, to have as a match stipulation, to give it a bit of extra stakes and extra meaning, and then they just completely blew it off straight away. So if Despy wins, I would not be immediately thinking, right, that's it, Show's leaving the house and he's going to go back to his pre-House of Torture, his Chaos days, he's going to be wrestling clean, Right. It would be interesting if he did, but
what's
I figure
the upside of that,
might be some twists and turns there. I quite like Funny Face Show.
I mean, I would love to see him not be Funny Face Show, but I mean, like, I just think the other option that's on the table is literally shooting yourself into obscurity. You know what I mean? Like, what would be the point of that? So, yeah, we'll see. But I'm not holding my breath on that one.
Then we had the fourth match, which was just five guys: Taka Michinoku, Doki, Yuya Uemura, Taichi, and Sanada defeating the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, Yota Tsuji, Shingo Takagi, Tetsuya Naito. Sanada got the pin, or was it a submission, over Bushi in 11 minutes, 5 seconds with the skull end. This just feels very, very cold.
It's the same thing we've seen for months.
Yeah.
I wish it was. I wish
the Sanada Naito stuff is dead, isn't it? Okay, I will say this, right? There are some interesting backstage interactions between Shingo and Taichi where they seem to have added an unofficial stipulation to their match where they've put their respective YouTube channels on the line. And I don't know what exactly this means, if like the loser has to delete their YouTube channel. But they were talking about it a lot. So that's something to keep an eye on. And also, I'm not going to talk about Fantastica Mania because I watched the first show and have absolutely nothing to say about it. Well, two things I have to say about it. One of them is, did you see the broadcast part of Kamaitachi's entrance?
Where I saw the like a clip of it where he hums it. You know, he's humming the song. Yeah, I did see that.
That was very good. And I said on Twitter, what a missed opportunity. They should do that every time that there's a music's right problem. And just think of all the years we missed out on having Togi Makabe humming the immigrant song theme tune.
Yeah, that'd be great to have him hit that high notes. Yeah, I did see that. I thought that was pretty interesting. I haven't watched truth be told, I haven't watched anything from Fantastic Mania yet.
Yeah, there's nothing musty. I'll keep up with it, and I will let you and the listeners know if there's anything musty, because it was really great. The top two matches on the show on Monday were fun. You know, if you've got the free time to watch them, great. But there's nothing.
Last nights are usually good. Like the last two nights are usually really good at Cork, and so I usually go out of my way to watch those. But overall, everybody knows it's not my bag.
And Walker Stewart, he's doing a tremendous job on the solo commentary there. So well done to him as well. Right, let's move on then to the fifth match, which was Kazuchika Okada in his final singles match as a New Japan contracted wrestler, defeating his old rival Hiroshi Tanahashi. What was it, like nearly 12 years to the day, same arena where there was the Rainmaker shop. So defeating Tanahashi 16 minutes, 50 seconds via Rainmaker. This was a nice little tribute to their match in San Jose last year. So it was good stuff. I liked it. It's diminishing returns for me. Like I'm stealing a bit from Jay Michael, who said that their Dallas match, their G1 match, was like a tribute, like them playing the greatest hits, tribute to their feud up to that point. And then the San Jose match felt like a tribute to the Dallas match. And now this match felt like a tribute to the San Jose match. So we've got kind of like a Russian nesting doll situation here. But I mean, the match itself was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it was
well done. And Eric says, Okada and Ospreay leaving, yeah, sure. But the most pressing question is, how can New Japan not own the rights to High Energy? So Tanahashi came up with his old entrance music, and I'm just staggered that they don't have the rights to that, because I thought that was composed in-house, but obviously not. And again, just an interesting little wrinkle here that they gave Tanahashi, the more nostalgic and crowd popping entrance in this. That was Okada's final singles match. So just something to think about there. But the match was good. I liked it.
It was one of those matches that you could probably call from your living room, right? But even that being said, there still was passion and energy, and I did like the fact that the crowd kind of swayed back and forth, booing Okada at certain points and cheering for Tanahashi. I think those two and those series of matches mean so much to a lot of the people that listen to the show, and rightfully so. It's one of the greatest feuds between two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. It's your Flair Steamboat, you know what I mean? It's your it's your Misawa, Kobashi. I don't know, Hansen. I don't know. But you get what I'm saying. Like it's not every day that you get that and the opportunity to put the back cover on the book, right? And I think the match itself was a fitting end to the greatness that was that feud. I got no problem with it.
So why are we doing 2 more 10-man tag matches then?
I don't know.
What's going on there?
Joel,
let's talk about that.
No idea.
We've got announced, right? First night at Sapporo, the third match on the show is going to be Yoshihashi, Goto, Ishii, and Okada against Callum Newman, Francesco Akira, Henare, Great Khan, and Jeff Cobb. And then the final match, Okada's big goodbye, Sapporo Night 2, second match on the card. So second match of a 10 match if we're including the Frontier Zone. They might as well have put in the fucking Frontier Zone. Yoshihashi, Goto, Ishii, Tanahashi, Okada against Akira, Henare, Great Khan, Jeff Cobb, and Matt Riddle. So I'm moving past the point of like ranting over, Okada should have put over the young guys. I'm not doing that anymore. That's been done to death. What I think is interesting here is I'm picking this. Do we read anything into this? The fact that his last match is the second match. It's a 10-man tag match. It is behind Tama Tonga's farewell match. It's behind Bushi versus Taka Michinoku singles match.
Yeah.
You would have thought if this is Okada, well, it is Okada's final New Japan match, that they would feature it a bit more prominently than that. And it could just be a case of them, wanting to give the Sapporo fans a chance to say goodbye. Maybe they advertise him for the show and they don't want to let those fans down and they're just trying to do it in a low-key manner. But I just can't help. And I know these are outside of his contract. I just think,
what's the point?
What is going on here? Because my reading of this, I just cannot get away from the perception that this is the office, Sugabayashi being like, yes, you can do these dates, but fuck you, you're going to the second match in a 10-man tag.
Right. Yeah, like you described previously. Just holding their nose and gritting their teeth and putting on a nice face. But yeah. And again, maybe the positioning of of that particular match does scream that there might be a big angle, right? And they're going to have it this early in the show so that, it doesn't take away from the other impactful things that they have planned.
Because you know what, Damon? So I'd work myself into a shoot because after the Zack Sabre Jr. match, apparently, I watched it back. I think he just said he's coming for Naito and Sanada. And then Chris Charlton said, he called out Okada. Right. And he had mentioned Okada before. And then me and Jay Michael were talking with, this maybe the last match is going to be singles match with Zack, and he's finally going to put Zack over, and Zack, full rocket ship here. He's going to beat Danielson and beat Okada. We're off to the races. And then these matches run out. So I thought, I should have known better there.
Yeah. And it's going to be weird in the sense that, okay, so that's going to be match number 2 of his farewell tour, and there's, you still have the rest of the show to go on. It's not even like it's Nakamura where he gets that send off in Corkin Hall and he cuts his promo and everyone's at ringside and everyone's wearing his t-shirt and the fans all have placards saying goodbye. And he gets carried out of the arena on Okada's shoulders. Is that happening in match 3?
Two.
Two. My bad.
It's important to make that distinction.
Yeah, that is a pretty big distinction. But you know what I mean? Like, that's not happening. It's him waving and goodbye. Like it just seems like a weird spot. And yeah, it does feel like it's one of those things where the company is just gritting their teeth and putting on a phony smile, and you know, it's like he. I'm not going to say it's not like he ever existed, but I don't. He's basically jerking the curtain here, right? It's saying something.
Yeah, I just think the Korakuen match where they relinquished the six-man titles, that I think would have been a really fitting send-off. And even this Tanahashi singles match was also an equally fitting send-off, but just the way it's kind of been dragged out and fizzling out is very weird and leaving a strange taste in the mouth. So, yeah, definitely an odd situation all round. All right, let's move on to the next match then. So, sixth match was the RWGP Tag Team Championship match where Chase Owens and Kenta defeated El Phantasmo and Hikuleo in 30 minutes and 11 seconds via roll-up. So, I ask you this, Damon, what is the worst thing that Taiji Ishimori has done this week? Was it the Nazi salute at Fantastica Mania, or was it helping Chase and Kenta to win these tag titles?
I
thought that would get a bigger laugh.
It did. Only
I was really proud of that one.
It was kind of, no, don't get me wrong. It was more of me. Like, I acknowledged the joke, but like I didn't, like I was bothered by it. And I know I might sound a little weird when I say this, but like I just expected more from a company that's trying to be international. I don't know. And I don't think.
Well, no, okay, no, go on, sorry.
No, look, me sitting in my house in New Jersey means nothing. Being uncomfortable with that, like, but again, if you want to be an international company, like, there's got to be some kind of checks and balances to be like, okay, we might not want to do something like that in the sense of, again, I don't even think it was pre-planned. I don't know. Like, I'm finding it hard to fucking find a way to say, okay, like I'm trying to find excuses for the guy that did that, and I'm trying to hide behind the fact that, okay, it's in Japan and it's different rules and different things. If this were just done in Japan, maybe I wouldn't necessarily be as bothered by it. But I can't lie, I was a little bothered by it.
It's better than the Dominion 2009 poster. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
The massive swastika, an SS symbol, and Nazi imagery all over it.
Right.
So,
I do.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Now, I'll speak as a Jewish person, and of course, I'm not going to say I'm speaking for the entire Jewish community because that would be preposterous. Just my own personal experience with this, that having spent a lot of time in Asia, Nazism is not something that's taught there. It's not part of the school curriculum, as far as I know. In the West, we have our very Western-centric lens of which to learn about World War II, and in the same in Asia, they view things through the Asian lens. So there were a lot of Asian aspects to World War II that I was ignorant of, and I learned about over there. And in the same way, I think in Asia, it's not something that's taught. The Nazism, the Holocaust, and all that. So. I have experienced firsthand, teaching young students in Thailand who they know that Hitler and Nazism and swastikas is a shocking sort of counterculture or symbol, but they're not aware of the full significance of it. They don't know what it means. They don't know, the impact that can have on other people. So I had quite a few conversations about that. We're about to sit down with, good kids, well-meaning kids, and say, look, it's not okay to do this or draw this or say this. And this is why. And after they were mortified afterwards. They had no idea, and they were grateful for being smartened up. And I think this is what's going on here, because they from what I understand, Ishimori got in a lot of trouble for it backstage. I think he was fined, and they edited that out of the broadcast. I think if you're watching the live broadcast, you would have seen it. But I think if you go on New Japan, they've edited it out. So it's absolutely not something that they told him to go out and do. And to give Ishimori the benefit of the doubt, I think it was done out of ignorance, not malice. Now, that's not to excuse him. It was a very stupid thing to do, and he and other people should not do that again. Obviously, no one should be doing that. And yeah, maybe you need to. I don't know if you want to take the whole roster and just give him a quick whistle stop history tour of World War II. I don't know, but I'm going to have a more sort of generous interpretation of this and say daft thing to do, but not hateful.
I think I'm in the same boat as you, and I think you said it as more eloquently than I certainly could have. Look, I was kind of like, whoa, what is it? What? So yeah, it's that. I don't think
you're a racist now, Taiji.
I know. All right. So there you go.
This tag titles then. I mean, my read on this is that I've said before, I think this is guys extending their contract, and they are in the contract negotiations trying to leverage in a bit of a push themselves. I cannot imagine that with, the blank notebook in front of him, Gedo's cracking his knuckles thinking, right, what are we going to do with these heavyweight tag titles? I know, let's put them on Chase Owens and Kenta. I don't believe that was the plan. I think this is a situation where one or both of these guys extended their contract saying, look, I'll sign, I'll accept this small number, but I want a tag title push. I want to hold the tag team championship.
You really think that conversation is really? I held the tag team titles, Joe. There are pictures of me holding those very titles at Yano's bar with a bunch of drunk Australians, right? And a drunk New Zealander who was running getting us beers. Yes, there's no value in that. I can't imagine him being like, yeah, I really want those tag titles. I don't look. Once again, it just leaves me scratching my head, because why would you look? The tag titles were at a spot on the Dome show where it had value, and they made the change, and I'm totally fine with that. New faces, fresh faces holding it, and then they drop it to this team. I'm baffled by it. If it's a negotiation ploy that was made to have this done, boy. It doesn't sound like they drive a hard bargain there in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was mouth agape just at like, what am I looking at here? I think what is most disappointing is this: the amount of talent that is available to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that they currently have. And once again, this is the direction that they decide to go. This might be a one-and-done title defense. Who knows, right? But it just seems very odd to me that this is what they came up with. And if this is a hard pivot, okay, I'm just left scratching my head. I know we haven't done the awards. Did you do the awards last week?
No, we didn't. I've got them. I've got the results here, but I'm just waiting for the
right time.
There is no right time. So I've completely missed the boat, and I hold my hand up, and I fucked that up completely. But we'll just wait for a slow news week to. Well,
let's put it this way: the people that won are all gone. they're all left. So what's the point? But again, what our awards are just a small taste and a small sample of the overall picture of New Japan Pro Wrestling fandom. Chase Owens is always the top of least favorite. Always. Every fucking year. I just don't understand it. Look, what are you going to do? One of those things where you just left scratching your head.
Yeah, I'm just getting the results out now, so you can have a little sneak preview of this. Favorite wrestler. Okay, so 2 out of the top 4 favorite wrestlers have now left. Yeah. So there's that. And least favorite wrestler of the year. First place, Bad Luck Fale. Second place, Chase Owens. So, yeah, enjoy that, right?
And where's Kenta on that list? Kenta's probably on that list, right?
He is on the list. He got 2 second place votes, so he's pretty far down that list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say statistically insignificant. But it's funny, even Kenta acknowledging that it's the piss break match. Pile Driver Profiling says, future tag team division, will Kenta and Owens have a proper reign as champions, or will they only serve as transitional champions? I mean, please, God, make it the latter, because I could rattle off about 20 heavyweight tag teams that I would rather have as champions. And look, these guys are competent wrestlers. I'm not going to go out here and say like it was a terrible one-star match and they fucked everything up. It wasn't. It's just boring. And John Carroll on the show, I think, did a good job in explaining just the fact that these two feel so weird and out of place, where we've got House of Torture on one side and then the War Dogs on the other side, and both doing well at what they're doing, and then these guys just sort of stuck in the middle of it, just doing their, feels like kind of lazy, tired US wrestling heel shtick. It's of no interest to me. I don't really think it's interesting to the fans, and hopefully it will be over soon.
Right. I mean, can I ask you this? How many times did Okan and Cobb win the tag titles? 0.
Gosh, I think it might have just been once.
Was it one?
Wasn't it?
Did they win?
Didn't they drop it to Kenta and Chase and Farley in a 3-way?
Oh, yes. You might be right. But I guess my point...
I remember on this show, on this podcast, raving about how great the Khan on the Cobb win was when they beat, I think it was Bishamon, and being like, yes, this is it, heavyweight tag division's cooking, and then they go and do this. It just seems that, I don't know. Right.
It's a shoulder shrug. We don't have an answer. Maybe you know what? Maybe he brings cupcakes to the locker room. Right? And they're so delicious.
Well, we know. I'll say no more.
Me too. Right. I don't want to get sued.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Let's move on to the 7th match, which is a special singles match with Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Bryan Danielson 32 minutes 46 seconds via crucifix pin. Damon, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Talk to me about this wonderful celebration of professional wrestling.
Oh, look, there are times in life where it is so fun to be a pro wrestling fan, and this is one of them. It lived up to my expectations. I think it lived up to the hype. I think it lived up to every expectation people had. I don't know of a person who watched that match and was disappointed, or couldn't find a way to get into it. I find it amazing that a guy who, we talk about all the injuries and we talk about all the struggles that he's had just getting back into the ring, right? Look at what he does. I hope and I pray that we see this again, 1. And then 2, I really hope that this is just another spark and just a nice little launching point for this big, fat, juicy Zack run that I hope we go on. I'm shocked that we are not full rocket ship. Let's go. This is our guy. This is our heel. This is our money guy. Because to me, he's got everything from the character, the interviews, the and obviously the in-ring work. It's unbelievable. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this match, particularly the finish, the fact that our guy got a win on a big show against a big name. And not only that, like that small little tip of the cap of, okay, if there is a torch that we're passing here, that there was a torch symbolically passed. Loved it. I think this match is going to be on a lot of people's match of the year. If you love this style, you had a boner the whole fucking way. It was hard hitting. It never felt slow. It never felt like it lost its welcome. It was a great match, and to me, this is what we should be focused on. And I know that in certain places and at certain pockets we do, but when you have like back to back and even 3 matches in a row, that what a great hour and a half of fucking pro wrestling. Just and this match helped anchor that and helped solidify that. So, yep, great job by both guys. I can't praise it high enough. It's one of my favorite matches, obviously, of this year, and I'm sure it'll be on my short list.
Yeah, and I've been saying for a while now, I think it is time that we do push that to that next level because, I mean, again, looking at our year-end awards poll and the Wrestler of the Year poll, he finished in second place. And admittedly, it was quite far behind Ospreay, who obviously finished first, but he was second nonetheless. And if I remember correctly, I think he placed pretty highly the year before that. And in the favourite Wrestler of the Year poll, he was also in second place. So this is a guy who is absolutely resonating with the Western fans at least. And we know that he's popular with the home fans as well. And the question I would always ask myself, is Zack a guy that I could see winning the world title? Could he beat the guy to dethrone Naito? He's got that history with Naito. He's like Naito's bogey opponent. So it would make absolute sense. Could I see Zack main eventing a Wrestle Kingdom? And look, for me, after Sanada has main evented it, all bets are off. Why not? If Sanada can do it, Zack can do it as well. So I don't know if we're looking as soon as New Japan Cup, if we're getting a third New Japan Cup victory for Zack and then he actually goes on to win the world title this time. Why not? Let's go for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, what do we got to lose? Right? I'm all for it. I love that plan. And here's the thing, too. Like, he's one guy that I don't feel has been dinged up. I'm not saying he's fucking Teflon, but, like, him losing and then maybe even going on stretches where he's, in a tag situation with Taichi or he's wherever. Like, I don't feel like there's ever a time where people are hand-waving Zack like they would, like, I don't know, Yoshihashi or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you could easily, if you book him wisely, to be a fucking, I call it all the time, a fucking problem. And I just think there's so much to be had with that. He's got that rep. Look, the one thing that did him a world of good is when he went on that submission run where everybody was just fucking tapping out and tapping out and tapping out and stars, big names. He still has that. We as a promotion, they still have that in their back pocket. They can go to that at any time and relight that fire. I don't know. To me, that just seems like money to be made. I really do. I'm begging for that direction.
Yeah, and Zack has called out Okada by name in recent weeks, so maybe that's our Forbidden Door program. Maybe he finally puts over Zack in IWGP World Cup match. I don't know how the timings line up, but it's interesting to note that Danielson backstage emphasized that he was physically and mentally at 100%, no excuses, no eye injury, no arm injury. He said that Zack is the best technical wrestler in the world, so a concerted effort to really put this guy over. And he also, Danielson said that he would like to have a rubber match. He said he wants a 2 out of 3 falls match on neutral ground, whatever that means.
My backyard. You're going to have it in my backyard.
We'll host it. But yeah, exciting times for Zack Sabre Jr. So let's move on then and talk about the main event. Oh boy, this is a dog pound cage match, which finished after 1 hour, 4 minutes and 5 seconds with David Finlay pinning Will Ospreay after hitting his finishing move, Overkill. Again, Damon, I would like you to go first here because I'm fascinated to hear what you thought about this match. From the little text message snippets I've got from you, I know you've probably got a lot to say about this.
I do, shockingly. The match, when you look back in the history of pro wrestling, right, it's not always the most technically sound matches. It's not always the, quote, mat classics that you turn to when you think of your memories of pro wrestling. A lot of times, it's raw, it's somewhat sloppy, it's you're nerve-wracking a little bit, right? You're on edge. You feel the excitement. And you go back in time and you could put like matches like Magnum and Tully, I Quit, right? You could put Valentine and Roddy Piper chain match, dog collar match from Starrcade. And you can do that. Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer in the Last Battle of Atlanta. This is one of the first times in this promotion that I could remember where violence and raw and emotion and chaos and nervousness from a fan perspective has been present in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring. I think of this match as like a really great punk show that you see in a small club where, hey, you know what? They're not hitting every fucking note, but the energy and the rawness and the passion and the crowd and the feeling that is generated. Like, to me, this match, I felt more than a lot of matches that might be labeled technically sound. The sloppiness added to the match. The chaos added to the match. It truly felt like these two teams fucking hated each other. And the missteps and the fuck-ups and, quite honestly, even the awkwardness of them ripping up the ring and wrestling on wood planks that were giving out to everyone. I was so afraid of people just falling through and blowing out a knee and losing their fucking career. Like, that's the last thing I would want to see. But yet, I'm at the edge of my fucking chair watching this car crash happen.
And the crowd went absolutely silent for that. Like, you could feel the collective intake of breath that they were just sort of horrified, thinking, what the fuck are we watching here? Like, they did not know how to respond to that at all.
No. And truth be told, it's been so long since we've seen something like that. Look, you can giggle and say, well, you see it fucking every month in like a promotion like Big Japan or Freedoms. But I think it's different. Because to me, the gore shock value, when you see it every month, it does get less and less. And trust me, that's a promotion that pushes the envelope of that. With some of the stuff they do that, okay, month to month, they keep upping the ante. But I never feel that just I'm on the edge of my seat feeling the danger. There have been times. I can't lie. But for me, an hour straight, I'm watching this match, just watching guys put their bodies I don't think I'm being just out of line. Their bodies and their careers and their livelihoods on the line. Henare got fucked up, and he did it. A lot of this stuff, and again, Gabe Kidd recklessly throwing chairs and hitting. Like, you kind of like it. Let's put it this way: that match shook the people that were in the match. Right? People in the match are still kind of shook by it. Look, I loved it. I'm going to sit here and tell you that for an hour, I was glued to my TV watching what I thought was a violent, messy, sloppy pro wrestling fight in a cage that, okay, let's be honest, the cage looked a little bit hokey. It did look a little cheesy. It did look a little low rent. I think it added to it. I really do. I think it added to it. It was, when, how we always complain about, every fucking match, every main event in Philly has to be a Philly street fight. Okay. And this was a true fight. And yes, there were elements of campiness, when TJP broke into his fucking, goofy mask character. Okay, great. And yes, there were other times where it was like, okay, we're on a little goofy side of pro wrestling. And at the end, yes, okay, we're taking a page out of Shawn Michaels' playbook here. But even Will saying, okay, he pushes Akira out of the ring. And he's like, I'm going to take everything you got. I'm going to be the guy. I'm the leader. I'm getting my ass whipped and taking the fall. And that's that. Like, I always sit here and say, Joel, a lot of times that guys are really good. Wrestlers are really good, but they need sandpaper. They need some grit. They need some, a little bit of an edge. Everybody in that match came out of that with like that feeling for me. Like everyone had just been elevated with extra grit. I loved it. I really thought it was great. I know people complained about the time and how long it went. It didn't bother me at all. I loved it, and it's one of my favorite matches. Truth be told, it's one of my favorite matches that I've seen in a very long time. That is so outside the box for me, and I think I might like it more because of that.
Yeah, I think this is my match of the year so far, and weird because it didn't really feel like a professional wrestling match, especially sort of violently juxtaposed to that Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. match, which was everything this match wasn't in the best possible way. Like, what a great contrast. This felt less like a wrestling match and more like, I don't know, like the climax of a movie or like a TV series finale, where you get that episode sort of near the end where everything just kicks off. All the stuff that's been bubbling under the surface just blows up and you get an hour of just balls to the wall violence where every little thing is paying off. And, it's almost a match that kind of, I don't know, defies or rejects a traditional like star rating or review. Like, some people love it, some people hate it, and none of them are wrong. But I always feel sort of going through, like you might do with a typical wrestling match, like going through spot by spot and saying, oh, this bit was good or this bit was bad. I feel like almost is like missing the point somewhat. I mean, I could list some of the stuff that I thought was great, like, Driller Maloney coming out with a bandolier of forks and him doing the Driller Killer on top of the pile of bodies. That was one of the highlights for me. And the bit at the end where they're all surrounding Will Ospreay and Gabe Kidd yelling, "You're foot! You're absolutely foot!" Just a lot of really memorable moments that, and like you said, you remember the way you feel watching the match, and there are a lot of really memorable emotions for me, like a real roller coaster, as cliche it is to say it. This was just like undiluted, unrestrained, and unprecedented, because I've never seen anything like this before. I've seen stuff that's come close to it, but I don't think it can compare to anything before it, and I don't think anything that comes after it will ever be like it. I thought this was just like a perfect storm of everything going on, everything that's right with New Japan in early 2024, and a lot of the stuff that's wrong with it as well. You mentioned a few examples there, but just absolute selfless brilliance from Will Ospreay, who's put David Finlay over twice on his way out of the company. So let's give him his flowers for that and doing business the right way. And I've talked before about Francesco Akira, who has been the heart and soul of this entire feud, and he was outstanding here. I think he made everything work with that. A lot of people don't like some of the guys in United Empire, and it's hard to sympathise with them, but I don't know many people who can't get behind Francesco Akira, and just the great story that they told with him, with his uncertainty, and he's saying, look, I just want to be the junior tag champions. I don't want any of this. And he's in over his head. But then, finally he gets his bit of revenge, even though he doesn't win. But, he had his moment, and I thought he was probably the biggest star of the match, so if we're looking for a traditional babyface here. But I can't really fault anyone. I thought every single man gave their all. I mean, there's particular people I could single out for praise. I thought Clark Connors was brilliant as well, and some of the stuff that he put his body through, which he didn't need to do that. But I might have hated some of the stuff that some of the guys contributed, but I do believe that it was all done with the absolute heartfelt conviction from all the people involved that it meant something to the fans, and everyone everyone got to have their ideas in. I don't think it would have been the same if there was some oversight. Someone in the room saying, "No, that idea is stupid. We're not doing that." It feels like they said yes to everything. Right. And this is what happens. Like when every cook in the room gets to throw in everything. It's like George's Marvelous Medicine. And yeah, like you said, you might have thought that some of the moments were absurd and, drop the match or ruin the match or whatever. You'd be well within your right to think that. But I would just like to celebrate the fact that a company like New Japan Pro Wrestling exists, where there are these 10 brilliant weirdos who can come up with this absolute dog's dinner of a match that I'm never, ever going to forget. And yeah, it wasn't professional wrestling, but I don't think this feud could have or should have ended on any other way. I thought it was a very fitting end to this faction war, and just a perfect finish with like this kind of ritual execution of Will Ospreay by the War Dogs, with all of their matching gear and their army fatigues and all that. And it just made the War Dogs look like this absolute killing machine. But, in spite of that, War Dogs won and looked absolutely powerful and victorious and indestructible going out, but they also let Will Ospreay and United Empire have their moment afterwards with the confetti and everything, and he richly deserves that. So I'm really glad that they managed to sort of have their cake and eat it by putting over the War Dogs, but also giving Ospreay a chance to say a really heartfelt goodbye. Like this War Dogs, man, this might not be a popular opinion amongst the casual fans, but this is my favourite iteration of the Bullet Club.
Me too.
They all seem in step, in sync. They look like killers. They're dangerous lunatics, and yeah, I feel it. There's that authenticity that you're always talking about with all of these guys. And I speculate, are there going to be angles? Is there, someone in United Empire going to betray someone else? Is there going to be a new leadership? I'm glad they didn't do that. This was not the time for angles. This was time for the big payoff, for the feud to get settled in the ring. There's never going to be a match like this again.
If you nailed it, the payoff. You got the payoff. And I'm going to disagree with you on one point. Like, to me, this was pro wrestling perfection in the sense of those violent moments are things, people remember just the chaotic moments. And again, I feel like I'm constantly referencing like Jim Crockett Promotions, but the idea of scaffold match, with the Road Warriors against Midnights, right? And you're just like, well, the Midnights are going to fucking die, right? Because it's the Road Warriors on a scaffold. They're going to die. And it's there is that stuff like that element. And I think those moments work when there's the feeling and anticipation and that churn in your stomach of you're emotionally invested in that. Like, I'm emotionally invested in this match as much as I'm emotionally invested in Okada Tanahashi. You know what I mean? Or Okada Kenny or Will Okada. Like, I'm emotionally invested in this. And is it sloppy? Yep, at times. I mean, it's a lot. There was some stuff there that was just like, whoa, you guys are gonna get hurt. And people did. And you know what? Let me tip my cap here. Fucking Hanare. The guy was hurt so bad that they didn't show him. Like, what does that say? Like, they never replayed the clip. Luckily, the camera wasn't really in focus when the table or chair or whatever the fuck it was that Gabe threw. And then him being bandaged up, looking like he was wearing his fucking rugby gear. And that spot with the chair, just the brutal chair shot, one. And then him firing back up Gabe. And then Hanare just bam and just knocked him fucking into another planet. That was
that was the most violent and shocking moment of the whole match. I've watched that like 100 times. The reaction of that crowd where they're like, "Holy shit! We just saw this guy's soul being knocked out of his body."
Yeah, I mean, I was
receipt.
Yep, I was up. I was up out of my seat. Here's the thing: for years, we have been subjected to a lot of false promises when it comes to violence in pro wrestling, right? So a lot of people that are younger than me, all that they were raised on is WWE type violence, right? Like Hell in the Cells, where like nothing, since fucking Mick Foley did his fucking classic through the table from the top of the cage, the most part, those things have not necessarily delivered when it comes to the implied violence that you're going to see. This was the first time in many moons that look, we sat here and said it. These guys are going to fucking tear each other limb for limb. This is going to be a very violent match. And it lived up to every bit. Now, I understand the counter argument of these guys put their fucking bodies on the line and they didn't have to do all this shit. I hear you. I hear your voices. Trust me, I do. Pro wrestling is a fucking weird thing. And we do still to this day celebrate those moments. We do. We celebrate them. And again, just with the examples I gave. And I think that it has its place. Do I want to see this every fucking day? No. Do I want to see this every month? No. This was appropriate for given the match and the stipulations and the build to this moment. I appreciate what they did. That's the best thing I can say. And it is one of those things. Do I ever want to see you guys do that shit again? I kind of don't. But God bless you for fucking doing it, because you guys every one of you, put your bodies on the line for an hour, which is pretty amazing. So I loved it. I really did. I'm sorry if I'm a ghoul, if I'm a fucking barbarian at this point. I loved it, and I appreciate everything they did.
Nick says, thoughts on Finlay as Bullet Club leader so far? I'm still of the mind that Gabe Kidd should take over, but I've got to admit Finlay is growing on me after this tour and cage match. So John and I threw loads of flowers at Finlay yesterday, and I think this calendar year he's been outstanding. Like I don't think he's going to win over the casual fans, but I don't care at this point. To me, I'm enjoying his work, and I think he is looking every bit the part Bullet Club leader for me, and a War Dogs leader, not just Bullet Club leader, but War Dogs leader. So where are you on Finlay so far?
Much more positive. That's for sure. Do I think he's the best fit to be the leader? Your mileage is going to vary, right? I kind of don't want to try to prognosticate and say, yep, talk to me in 6 months, talk to me in 8 months. I'm celebrating the now right now. Like, I'm celebrating the now. And I think from what I've seen so far this year, I can't complain. I can't complain at all. Really, I can't. I'm hoping I'm praying this is not some fucking mirage that we're getting. But I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, because I can feel my body just go back one calendar year from this very day. And doesn't it feel like we were saying, man, it feels kind of crazy around here. Feels a little chaotic. Who knows? It feels like we're all on acid. We're watching this fucking promotion do some crazy fucking shit, right? Like, that's how I feel. That's where I'm a little cautious. But you know what? I'm going to celebrate the win. And Finlay so far, I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Daryl says, I find it a little strange to say, but I feel now that I will miss Ospreay more than Okada. He's really grown on me, especially since the pandemic in United Empire, and I believe that he sincerely loves Japan and has always given 100% no matter who he was in the ring with. What do you think his legacy will be if he doesn't return? Will he be considered as big a name as Chono or Naito or Muta? I know he didn't have a long run with a big belt, but oh my God, the matches. Ospreay is the true no days off guy, in my opinion. God bless him.
I'm glad that they came around, because we've been kind of saying that for a long time, right? And yeah, I think his impact is going to be sorely missed. What will his legacy be in New Japan? That's a great question, actually. I don't think he'll ever have the opportunity to be a Muta, a Chono, a Hashimoto in that rare air. I think that's very difficult. That being said, like he's got to be in the conversation of. All right, let's do this without necessarily going through a laundry list of names. Right now, would you put him in top 20 greatest New Japan of all time? Top 20.
I mean, he's been arguably the best wrestler in the world for the last, you said 2 years. I'd say maybe 4 years. That's really hard. I'm scared. I'm scared to answer that question. I'd say maybe yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's been so brilliant.
He really has.
Worked with so many different guys and helped establish so many others and been so selfless. And just the work he's put in, never phoning it in.
Like, it's hard for me to go top 10. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to be like, okay, Okada, Inoki, Choshu, Tanahashi. I mean, what we got? 4 or 5. Tiger Mask, 6. Where you want to go next? Kenny, is Kenny in the top 10?
That's a good question. Has Ospreay
eclipsed
Kenny at this point?
To me, yes. Mm-hmm. To me, yes. Now, here's the biggest problem I have, though. No, you know what? I don't know if I can sit here and say that. Like, I was going to go like, if Madison Square Garden were on the table, right? Could you comfortably sell out Madison Square Garden with Will Ospreay on top, or do you need Kenny Omega on top? And here's the thing: Okada was on top against Jay White, but the premise was Young Bucks and Kenny were going to be at that show, and the tickets were on sale in advance, and people kind of felt a little, I think that played a big factor in it. All right, let's stop fucking about and stop being cowards. Is the impact of on New Japan Pro Wrestling Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay? Which one you taking?
Will Ospreay.
Damn. I'm struggling. Like, I can't sit here and hand wave the importance of Kenny Omega. Like, who do I prefer? Will. Who do I think gave more back to New Japan? Will. Who do I think was bigger? Kenny.
Kenny was bigger. Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of the significance of Kenny sort of helping, with that famous 6-star match, Wrestling Kingdom 11 main event, and arguably being a huge part in the creation of AEW and getting that up and running. I mean, but then again, we're talking New Japan here, so.
I mean, his G1s were unbelievable.
Mm.
His chase of the title was unbelievable.
Absolute god tier matches with Okada, Naito.
Yeah.
That's just on the top of my head.
Even Michael Elgin. It's tough. You could go either way. I'd have to say Kenny.
It's very, very close.
Yep. Look.
And it's the testament to the tremendous work Will Ospreay has done that it is that close.
Yeah.
Because if you'd asked that question, 2 years ago even, you'd probably get a different answer. But,
hey, look,
And I think even just the end of this run has done a huge amount of good for the Will Ospreay case.
No doubt.
Just seeing that comparatively against other people who are leaving the company.
How about Kenny?
And, he put over...
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Tanahashi,
you know what I mean? Okay. Kenny spent more time shooting fucking videos for that stupid channel of his, Young Bucks, than he did trying to. I mean, didn't we sit here and just fucking roll our eyes at all the lack of hype for the main event at Kingdom against Tanahashi?
Yes.
Like, and now compare that to Will.
Video.
Yeah. Now compare that to Will.
And how angry and resentful we know Kenny was on the way out.
Yep.
Whereas Ospreay is a guy, just the embodiment of pay it forward.
Yeah.
Who will just lie down for anyone, anywhere, just because he believes in it.
You know, say what you will about him, Will. Like, that's... You don't think that goes a long way in a locker room? You don't think that goes a long way to an office? Look, for all the stuff that, you know, you hear about him and to me, I think a lot of that is even dialed down at this point. Like, a lot of the things that people were like, ugh, it's just, I can't fucking stand this guy. That's dialed down tremendously. Look, you know, there's a part of me that's like, Will, I would take just for the way he left, just for the way he went out. I don't know.
Yeah, this final Will Ospreay match, and it was barely about him at all.
Right. I mean, not for nothing. I wish he wouldn't bring his girlfriend or his wife, or I don't want that. I don't want that there. I feel like that takes away. Anyway, great match. Are you going full 5?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Me too. All right, just making sure.
And not to say it was perfect, because like I said, there are plenty of things that I was like thinking, this is ridiculous, but I feel that's part of the charm for me.
Yep. Listen, and again, I'll say, Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard in the steel cage, I quit. This was not a technical masterpiece, but you felt every fucking second of it, and that was this to me. To me, it was. So that's how I'm going there. All right. 1 hour and 50 minutes. What else we got to talk about?
Just a few little wrap-up things. Future of United Empire, because there was no breakup here. And we talked about Callum Newman and how sort of long-term I think he is the guy for leadership of that faction, because I don't think they're going to dissolve them. In our year-end polls, they finished second in most popular faction. So whilst it might have made narrative sense to blow up the faction, I think it seems like they're going to stick around. And I'm looking at that second match in Sapporo, the final Okada match, the fact that Matt Riddle has been put with them. I think that does mean Matt Riddle is likely to be joining United Empire, but I don't think we're going to have a clear leader per se in the short term, because we know that TJP is kind of angling for that, and he's talked a lot about that. And I think even New Japan know that Riddle is too much of a flight risk to say, right, this guy's the new leader. So I think they're probably going to be a little bit cautious with that.
How's he getting in?
But Matthew says, is it... It's a good question, but they obviously think he'll make it. Matthew says, is it worth moving forward with Chaos and United Empire as factions, or shake it up with a new faction or two? I mean, the question that always pops into my mind is merchandise. If they're still selling merch, then it's still going to be a thing. So I think United Empire is going to stick around.
Yeah, and it makes it convenient for, like, you know, travel and you know, who's getting the train, and you know, just it's a little bit deep. It actually runs a little bit deeper than just okay, these guys are in this pro wrestling faction. So yeah, it might be a little bit difficult, but who knows?
Cola Blue says, did Great Khan look more of a boob or a geek during the cage match? Yeah. That was a strange one, his involvement in that. How did you feel about him sort of being on the periphery there?
Okay, so if you're in United Empire, wouldn't you want a fucking dump truck like him in the ring? You would think he would be a guy that you would want to destroy the opponents. And then he's made to look a little bit like a boob with the key situation. I mean, maybe he didn't want to be in it. You know, maybe he was just like, oh, fuck that. I am not getting involved in this nonsense. Yeah, he looked a little boobish. He looked like a little bit of a boob.
And last thing, I have watched the backstage promos from this show, which was like over an hour long. But one thing stood out here, and it's been picked up by some other people. Alex Coughlin, who didn't say anything, but gestured in Makaton in sign language. I think it was like, fuck you. The first gesture, I think, I could be wrong. The second one was thank you. Right. So he definitely gestured thank you in sign language and looked very, very emotional. So got a bit of a bad feeling about that one. I won't say any more on that, but yeah.
Sometimes the smart thing is to recognize your own fears. I don't want to say fears. You know what? How do I word this, Joel? Help me out here. It's a situation where maybe smarter heads prevail. Maybe.
He's a guy who's had very serious injury issues in the past with his neck. And even within the last year has had a few near misses. Yeah. And especially in a match like this, I'm not saying that this match
put him over the edge, but yeah. But it could, look, again, we're kind of dancing around a little bit, and I think people can read between the lines and put two and two together. He's got to do what's right for him. That's what I'll say. He's got to do what's right for him. And sometimes making hard decisions about what's the right thing to do for that person is the most difficult thing to do. And we'll leave it at that. How about that?
All right. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way. And look, if you want to be part of the Discord and the Delicious Deli, if you send me proof of your contribution, then
we'll talk.
I'll throw you a link. I'll hook you up. Yeah. Where's my other plugs? Who else are we plugging? The usuals.
Get a t-shirt.
Edited down. Good guy. T-shirt. No, I don't want to do the t-shirts this week. Not feeling in the t-shirt mood. Edited down at Lousy Hero 219. Definitely earned his paycheck, his meager paycheck last week with all the great work he did patching that one together. Follow us on Twitter at SuperJcast. Thank you everybody for listening, and goodbye.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.